Okay, so we read chapters 21 through 29 last time. And if you remember, Billy's mom was in charge of ensuring that he ate the next two worms while Alan and Joe were away. And so she ended up fixing the worms in different recipes that would be more enjoyable for Billy. And so he had no problem getting the next two worms down. And she made an ice cream dish. She made a grilled cheese and worm sandwich. And so then when Alan and Joe came back from their fishing trip, they came up with this plan that they were going to ask Billy and Tom to the baseball game, and they were going to stuff Billy with all of this different food so he would fall asleep on the way home and then just not have enough time to eat that worm and be disqualified. And they invited Tom, but they weren't going to pick him up so that he couldn't stay on Billy and ensure that he actually ate his worm. And so they did this. They went to the game. They didn't have Tom. Billy ate all this different kind of food, and he fell asleep on the way home. And they thought that they had won. Alan and Joe thought that they had won because there was only like 20 minutes until midnight, and Tom had gotten into the house and he was half asleep, and his mom was kind of like washing him up before bed when he realized, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten my worm, and there was 10 minutes left. And so he goes out looking for this worm, and he goes to Tom's house next door, and Tom and his little brother Pete ended up helping him look for a worm, and they finally found one, and they raced over to kind of do this big show in front of Alan and Joe's house. Which was really Alan's house, but Joe was there with him. And they woke the whole neighborhood up with a siren in order to prove a point while Billy ate his worm. And so that resulted in Alan's father finding out about the bet. And he made the two boys, Alan and Joe, go and apologize to the whole town for waking the whole neighborhood, and that it would never happen again. And so tensions were running high with that. And the next time that the four boys met up, they all got into a fight, and Billy got hit in the head over his eye with a rock from one of Alan or Joe throwing a rock at him. And so that's where we left off. We're picking up with chapter 30, and we are reading to chapter 37. Yeah. All right, here we go. Chapter 30, The Peace Treaty. Alan and Joe sat on the sofa, Tom and Billy on two straight chairs opposite them. Now, said Alan's father, what's this all about? The four boys all began talking at once, accusing, recounting, explaining. All right, said Alan's father after a while, that's enough. Now we know it's got something to do with this bet Alan and Billy made, but Mr. O'Hara and I aren't going to get involved in that. You'll have to settle that amongst yourselves. You four boys have been friends too long to start fighting now, said Mr. O'Hara. You really hurt each other. Look at yourselves. Your faces all bruised and muddy. Talk it over. Work things out, and then you can shake and be friends again. Joe muttered under his breath. I couldn't be friends with those rats. We'll be out in the kitchen, said Alan's father. When you've settled it, call us, and we'll all go down to Freddy's for some ice cream, okay? Billy and Alan and Tom nodded. The two fathers left the room. The boys gazed silently at each other. After a while, Alan said, It wasn't us that scratched Tom. Billy did it. Another silence. Did you have stitches? Billy asked Alan. Nah, did you? Billy shook his head. More silence. You tried to cheat, said Billy. That wasn't cheating. We were just trying to trick you. Yeah, but before that, when you glued two worms together, that was cheating. You would have cheated too if you'd been losing. Billy thought about it. Okay, but look, no more cheating. I've already eaten 13 worms. You know I can eat 2 more. Heck, if I buy George Cunningham's Brothers mini pack, we can all use it. We'll all have fun with it. Joe and Alan glanced at each other. Okay, said Joe. You win. He wins, Alan. Okay, said Joe. You win. He wins, Alan. Yeah, but what's the use, said Joe. We've tried everything. I'm sick of it. Geez, we've done nothing else for almost 2 weeks. Alan scratched his eyebrow, glancing at Joe. Yeah, but Joe stood up. Come on, at least we'll get a milkshake out of it. Chapter 31. The letter. Billy lifted the worm out of the frying pan with the cooking tongs and curled it back and forth on his peanut butter sandwich. I bet they're trying something, he said. Joe won't give up. Alan might, but Joe won't. Tom was carving his initials in the leg of the kitchen table. Yeah, but it's not Joe's bet. What does he care? Just the same, I bet he tries something. Billy sat down at the table, turning the sandwich this way and that, looking for the best spot to make the first bite. Emily came in from the dining room. You and Mom got a letter. Chewing, Billy opened it. Charles M. McGrath, M.D., 34 Beechwood Drive, Grattan, New York, 12601. Midnight, August 15th, 1973. Miss John Forrester, 7 Manchester Road, East Grattan, New York, 12603. Dear Miss Forrester, I have just made a distressing discovery. And while leafing through a medical journal before going up to bed, I noticed an article entitled Poisons in the Home Garden, a subject which necessarily fascinates me. As I glanced through the article, a phrase caught my eye. Lumbricus terrestris, the common earthworm. I read on. Miss Forrester, let me assure you, first of all, that there is no cause for undue harm or undue alarm. However, you will, I am sure, be concerned to learn that, especially in the months of July and August, parents must be aware of the common earthworm, some varieties of which are known to secrete a substance, Lumbricus cordyceps, maybe, which, though not malignant to the skin, is sometimes harmful if swallowed. Dr. A.C. Roosevelt of Hyde Park, New York, reports that 10% of the boys studied reported no ill effects except induced paralysis of the lower fulmar region. And paralysis is just when you're paralyzed. 40% reported abdominal cramping, triple vision lasting from 2 to 3 years and impairing school performance, and extreme lassitude. Autopsy reports have not yet been received on the remaining 50%, and so no final conclusions can be drawn. But extreme caution is urged since the blackened and pimply faces of the subjects lead one to suspect the worst. I'm laughing at the autopsy reports have not been yet received because they've died, and they're thinking it's from eating these earthworms. Miss Forrester, as your friend and family physician, I would strongly recommend that your son William eat no more worms until I return on Thursday from New York City and can give him a thorough examination. Yours sincerely, Charles McGrath, C.M. McGrath, M.D. All right, chapter 32, Croak. His hand trembling, Billy laid the peanut butter and fried worm sandwich down on the table. Do you think... whispered Tom. The screen door banged. Billy's father came into the kitchen, his tie loosened, his jacket over his arm. He laid his briefcase on the table. It's hot, he said cheerfully. Billy staggered to the sink and feebly drew himself a glass of water. Tom and Emily watched him, awestruck. What's the matter? Asked Billy's father. Water dribbled down Billy's chin and onto his t-shirt as he drank. His mind swam. Poison? Paralysis? Extreme lassitude? Tom, said Billy's father, what's going on? Tom pointed at the letter lying on the table. Billy's father read it, smiled, glanced at Billy, and getting a beer out of the refrigerator, sat down at the table. Well, he said to Billy, so it fooled you, eh? Fooled me, croaked Billy. Chapter 33, the 14th worm. But how could Alan and Joe know all those medical words, Mr. Forrester? Said Tom. Lumbricus, coropsis, fulmar? Do you know what fulmar really means? Tom and Billy shook their heads. It means a bird. A seabird, I think. Boy, said Billy, disgusted. He sat back down at the table and picked up his sandwich. They could be arrested, Mr. Forrester, said Tom. Couldn't they be arrested for defrauding the mails? Couldn't they? Billy grinned and bit down on the peanut butter and fried worm sandwich. So basically, hold on, let me, Okay, yeah, so basically, this is a letter from Tom, not Tom, sorry, Alan and Joe. They wrote this letter acting like the physician, like the doctor that had been called, saying that it was really poisonous. So this was the trick up their sleeve that they were trying to get away with. All right. Chapter 34, the 15th. Standing on a rusty pail, Billy peered through a crack into the horse barn. Joe was wandering about, lashing at cobwebs with a stick. Alan was slumped on a barrel, gnawing his thumbnail. Billy went around to the door. "Hi," he said. Alan didn't look up. "Hi," said Joe. Billy glanced around suspiciously. "Take it easy," said Joe. "We can see. At least I do." He's still trying to think up something. He pointed at Alan with the stick. "Where's Tom?" said Billy. He wouldn't eat his lunch, so his mother kept him in. Billy leaned over the platter on the orange crate and smelled the steaming southern fried worm. "He wanted to load it with red pepper," said Joe, "but I wouldn't let him." Billy forked ketchup, mustard, and piccalilli onto the platter, cut a piece of worm, dipped it into the glop, stuck it in his mouth, chewed nervously, swallowed, cut another piece. The worm tasted better than usual, sort of like kidney beans. Southern fried kidney beans. "Where'd you get this one?" "Down behind Bannerman's," said Joe. "From the muck?" yelled Alan. "The muck? Gooey, slimy, stagnant muck?" Billy grinned. "Yeah, you'll have to show me. This is the best one yet." Alan jumped up and kicked the barrel, clattering into a stall. Joe shrugged at Billy, grinning. Billy held up the last bite. "Ta-ra!" He swallowed it. "Okay, let me look," said Alan. "Come on." He peered into Billy's mouth. "Oh, no. Come on. There's still some stuck between your teeth there." Billy sucked noisily at his teeth. "Okay." Alan's shoulders slumped. "I can't get the money till tomorrow," he said. "Oh, geez. You know I'll have to work Saturdays for 6 months to pay it back." He trudged slowly toward the door. "Coming, Joe?" "Yeah, maybe your father won't act so bad if I'm there when you tell him." Alan stopped in the door. "Tomorrow?" he said without turning. 10 o'clock. He sounded as if he wanted to cry. "Yeah, sure," said Billy. "Make it later if you want." "No, I'm going to do it's not going to do any good putting it off." "Come on, Joe." Chapter 35. Left alone in the barn, Billy hugged himself. I won! $50! Ha! He sat down on the crate, grinning. Heck, I knew I could do it. Ha! I was so scared at first, waking everybody up in the middle of the night. He burped. Beans. I should have made it 30 worms and $100. That stupid letter. Joe knew when he was licked, though. Ha! Geez. Beans. He stood up. How come that burp had tasted like beans? He'd had a hamburger for lunch and a glass of milk. Then the worm. Say, they couldn't have. He snatched up the platter. Nothing left. Just a few crumbs of cornmeal. Craning his neck, his eyes bugging out, straining, he burped. Beans! Again, beans! He burst out of the barn, stumbling over the sill, yelling. Across the field, Joe and Alan turned. Alan started to run. Joe grabbed his arm. It was fake, panted Billy, coming up to them. You faked it. It wasn't a real worm. Real worm, said Joe. What are you talking about? You made a worm, yelled Billy, out of beans. Then tomorrow, you were going to say I'd lost. I hadn't eaten 15 worms. The last one was fake. Oh, geez, said Alan. Come on, will ya? He didn't do it while I was around, said Joe. You sure? What'd you have for lunch? A hamburger and milk. Yeah, but where'd you get the hamburger? I don't know. My mother bought it. What difference does that make? Yeah, well, a lot of that hamburger you get these days has stuff mixed in it. You know, sausage meat, soybeans, breadcrumbs. So the butcher makes more money. Yeah, said Billy. Sure. But anyway, you come on back. Just to make sure I'm going to eat another worm. Jeez, suit yourself. Eat 4 more. Come on, Alan, let's go. Let him eat it. Let him eat what he wants. Chapter 36. The 15th woe. Billy threw back his head, lowered the worm. Alan charged around the door, leaped on Billy's back, flung him to the ground, and punching, yelling, jumped up, grabbed Billy's feet, dragged him, bump, 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 across the rough, chafy floor to the tool closet, bundled him inside, slammed the door, locked it. Silence. Water trickling into the trough inside. Alan panting. What are you going to do with him? Joe asked hoarsely from the doorway. If he's in the closet, he can't eat the worm, can he? You're crazy. He'll start to yell. His parents will hear him. Yeah, yeah. Alan's hair was mussed. His shirt tail hung out. Yeah, said Joe, eyeing him. He will. He'll start to yell and his parents will hear him. Alan glanced wildly about, started toward the door, turned. Not if we put him down the cistern. The cistern? Joe wiped his mouth. Alan, cut it out. It's only $50. Come on. Face it. You've lost. You can't put Billy down in the cistern all by himself. Suppose there's water in it. It's 15 feet deep. We can lower him down with a rope. Bang, 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 bang. Billy is kicking the tool closet door. Let me out! Help! Let me out! It's cheating! Help! I want to get out! I want to get out! I want to get out! Bang, 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 bang! He chanted rhythmically, kicking the door with both feet in time with his chant. Alan ran across the barn and, grabbing hold of a beam, skidded to a stop, began to kick aside the hay and trash which littered the planks over the old cistern. Bang, 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 bang! I want to get out! I want to get out! I want to get out! Come on! Alan yelled at Joe. Help me! We were all down in it last year. How's it gonna hurt him? Come on, it'll work. I'll split with you. Get some rope. Bang, bang, bang. I want to get out. Chapter 37. Out of the frying pan into the oven. On his knees, yanking at the planks which covered the old cistern, thinking, I've got him, I'll win. He'll never... Alan felt a hand gripping his shoulder, glanced up. What the devil is going on in here? Mr. Forrester shouted down at him. Bang, 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 I wanna... A confused babble of voices dying out suddenly. Now, said Mr. Forrester, Alan and Joe, home, scoot. Alan and Joe crowded out the door. I've won, crowed Billy. He danced toward the platter. Nothing can. Billy, up to your room. I just got to eat this worm, Dad. Oh, I've won. Billy, up to your room. Dad, his father pointed. Dad, if I don't eat what's left, I'll lose. Alan will win. It's just two. Now, the bet is over. You know what I've told you about that cistern. Now. Dad, I'll lose. Alan will... Then you will learn something. March. You mean I can't even eat that last little bit? How long could it take me? What could... Billy, now.